A big shout out and thanks to our county partners, county council. Thank you not only for that comprehensive presentation, Wendy, but just for your work in getting us to where we are today in partnership with our county partners. Um, it is clear that this ordinance was not developed in a vacuum. We saw the many, many outreach touch points. We often talk about here what outreach was done, what outreach was done, and it is clear this is an example. You've set the bar pretty high. We're going to have high expectations for other ordinances in terms of how outreach, happens. And so I'd like to thank the business leaders and the reentry service providers who really worked hand in hand in helping us identify shortcomings of state policy and helped us with the outreach. So I really appreciate that. Let me start by just acknowledging what I know to be the obvious, which is the bias against systems impacted individuals. For systems impacted job seekers, the promise of a fair chance is a critical opportunity to pursue a life of dignity and purpose. And when we talk about recidivism, all the studies show having opportunity to gainful employment is one of the most impactful ways to reduce recidivism. And so that's why this ordinance is so important. And we're clear that many employers are keeping that promise. Even with that, we still have a long way to go in making this promise real for every job seeker. More than a quarter of formerly incarcerated individuals are unemployed on average, which is in stark contrast to the general population, which is experiencing historically low rates of unemployment. And as a result, those with lived experience are more likely to experience homelessness and poverty. And with this ordinance, we can work against that. Years of research has proven the bias that too often denies system impacted job seekers critical opportunities, finding that they perform as well as or better than their counterparts if given the opportunity. So let's talk about two of the areas that our proposed ordinance differs from state law, and that's the enforcement gaps as well as the exemptions to the look back period. The passage of the Fair Chance Act started to move California in the right direction. Job seekers and reentry partners have highlighted shortcomings in its enforcement. Job candidates can't wait weeks, even months, for a final hiring decision after a background check is completed. What that does is it often forces them to seek lower paying opportunities because they can't afford to wait. Who can when you're looking for employment? When employers don't perform a written assessment of the risks associated with past convictions, candidates are challenged to defend themselves when a job offer is revoked. If adopted, this ordinance would add teeth and guidance to enforcement of the Fair Chance Act to ensure the letter and spirit of the law is followed more consistently. In addition, this ordinance would strengthen protections for systems impacted job seekers and create tools for stronger enforcement. With regard to the look back period, in recognition of the need to manage various risks associated with sensitive job duties, this ordinance provides an exception to the required look back period for positions involving direct work with seniors, minors, and dependent adults, as well as positions involving the administration of public funds or benefits, provided that the conviction relates to the illegal access of funds or negotiable instruments. We are one of the largest employers in the region, and the county has, I think, an obligation to lead by example and ensure our hiring practices are equitable and transparent. A county policy with an independent enforcing entity, as well as discipline, performance evaluations, and other enforcement tools, can enhance accountability and avoid a potential conflict of interest created by its inclusion in the ordinance. I think it's really going to be critical for the Department of Human Resources to not only help each department update their hiring and recruitment practices, but to provide ample education and training to shift the culture around for fair chance hiring. From my perspective, again, while I think it's important that the county take actions outlined by the ordinance, is twofold. First of all, we have declared that we are a care for first, jails last county. And passing this ordinance is how we operationalize that kind of goal statement. Providing care to those who are systems involved includes helping them gain gainful employment. I was also struck by the presentation we saw last week around closure of Men's Central Jail. And we saw that chart that talked about having to, reduce the population by 7,000, and those 7,000 can't return. And so how do we guarantee those 7,000 don't return? As we talked about housing, we've got to find them beds, and we have to make sure they have jobs. So as we talk about our Care First concept and theory, how we move it from theory to practice, I think this fair chance ordinance is a way that LA County operationalizes what we say is our mission and provide systems impacted individuals a true, clear, enforceable pathway to gainful employment. Again, I want to thank all of the county partners who stepped up. We're clear about the outreach that has taken place, the outreach that will continue, the supports to businesses to make sure they have every opportunity to understand the ordinance and conduct their hiring practices within it. And finally, making sure that we, as the largest employer in the region, are incorporated in our own hiring practices and culture the policies this board has set forth as providing opportunities to those systems involved individuals so we can reduce recidivism rates and ultimately reduce the numbers who we currently are incarcerated in our own congregate care settings. With that, thank you very much, Madam Chair, and I ask for your support.
Thank you.